All right, let's get right into it because this week was absolutely monumental for the HEX and PulseChain ecosystem. A legal bombshell dropped that sent some serious shockwaves through the community. And we're going to break down exactly what happened, what it means, and why it really, really matters. It all kicked off with this one incredibly powerful quote from Richard Hart's attorney. Now look, in the high-stakes world of crypto versus regulators, you just almost never hear a statement this final. It's so definitive. So what on earth prompted a declaration like that?
Well, here it is, the biggest news of the week, plain and simple. The SEC, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, has dropped its case against Richard Hart and his projects. It's done. That massive legal battle that has been casting this huge shadow over the entire community, it's finished.
And to really get why this is so significant, you have to understand just how rare an outcome like this is. I mean, think about it. Very few crypto projects that end up in the SEC's crosshairs get to walk away with a full dismissal. Most end up with a settlement or some kind of partial ruling. This was different.
And when I say full dismissal, I mean the whole shebang. This wasn't just about Richard Hart personally. The allegations that were tied to the entire ecosystem, we're talking HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX, all of it, dropped. In the eyes of the law, for this case, the slate has been completely wiped clean.
Now, to really appreciate why this victory feels so stunning to so many people, we've got to rewind a little bit and look at what was actually on the line here. What was this fight all about? Because let me tell you, the SEC was not pulling any punches with its accusations.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. It is stark. The SEC's claims were no joke. They were throwing around allegations of misusing investor funds, even outright theft. And the outcome on the other side? Case dismissed. The gravity of what they were accused of versus the final result, it's pretty night and day.
So here's the crucial takeaway from all this. That giant cloud of uncertainty that's been hanging over everything, it's gone. For investors, for developers, for just regular community members, that constant threat of regulatory action was this huge weight, this barrier. And with that barrier removed, the entire narrative can finally start to change. Okay, so that leads to the obvious question, right? How did the market react? Did this newfound legal clarity actually move the needle on the price? Let's take a look at the numbers. Well, the immediate verdict from the market was definitely positive. In the week right after the news broke, the price of HEX rallied about 13%. So that tells you there was a clear, direct shot of confidence from traders who were watching this case like a hawk. But that is not the whole story. You have to zoom out for the full context. Because despite that really solid weekly gain, HEX is still down around 99% from its all-time high. So yes, the news sparked a rally, for sure. But the road to a full recovery, that's still going to be incredibly long. And hey, that positive feeling wasn't just stuck on HEX. If you look at the wider ecosystem, PulseChain itself had an even stronger week, jumping up 22%. So that feeling of relief was definitely felt across the board. So if we're going to sum up the market's reaction, it's pretty clear. The news was a huge positive catalyst. It sparked a much-needed short-term rally. But the data also makes it crystal clear that this is just one step on what is still a very, very long journey back. Now, beyond the price charts and the legal docs, there's the human side of all this. The community around these projects is, well, famously passionate and, let's be honest, pretty polarized. So how did they take this massive news? So on one side, you've just got this absolute wave of hype and optimism. With the legal stuff out of the way, supporters on platforms like X are already speculating like crazy about what's next. They see this as the starting gun for a whole new phase of development, marketing, you name it. But then, on the other side, that deep skepticism is still there. You hop over to places like Reddit, and you'll find the same long-standing criticisms as before, painting the project in a much more critical light. That fundamental divide in how people see all this, it has not gone away. But here's what's so fascinating. Even among some of the harshest critics, you saw this acknowledgement. They had to admit that this legal victory was a huge deal. It doesn't matter how you feel about the projects themselves, beating the SEC like this is a major event that pretty much everyone had to recognize. Which brings us to the final and really the most important question of all. With what was arguably the single biggest obstacle now cleared from the path, what happens next? Where does the ecosystem even go from here?
Well, the community is now laser focused on a few key things, potential catalysts. Are we finally going to see major centralized exchange listings, something that was probably impossible with an active SEC case? Is there a new marketing push coming? Will we see development on things like streaming or broader NFT adoption start to pick up steam? These are the signposts everyone is looking for.
Ultimately, what this all boils down to is a fundamental shift in posture. For years, this project has been on defense, right? Fighting a legal battle for its own survival. Now, with that clarity, the focus can finally shift from defense to offense, from just surviving to actually building and growing. And so, we're left with this one crucial question. Was this legal victory the turning point that finally unlocks the future potential of HEX and PulseChain? Or was it just a temporary break in the clouds before the next set of challenges show up? The foundation has been cleared, but what gets built on it? Well, that's the story we're all waiting to see unfold.